Since the beginning of the offseason, there have been many questions about Fred VanVleet's game with the Toronto Raptors. Those questions grew even larger when Kyle Lowry left the team for the Miami Heat in the summer. So in today's video, we try to break down how Fred VanVleet is becoming the best player on the Toronto Raptors and how he's making a serious case to make the NBA All-Star team. Let's get into it. Welcome NBA Raptors fans to Amateur Hour Sports, the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors at least 4 times a week. So if you like what you see from today's video and you want more of myself talk about the NBA and the Raptors in videos and content just like this, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are on a road to 8,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for helping us get there. But let's get down to business for today's video, talking about Fred VanVleet off the back of that outrageous performance against the Milwaukee Bucks last night. The Raptors finally get a win at home here. They are now 3-8 at home as they improve after that 97-93 victory over the Bucks. And yes, I recognize that the Milwaukee Bucks did not have Giannis for this one. He had played 40 minutes in the night previously leading up to the game against the Raptors. So the Bucks decided they did not want to use him. They wanted to rest him in this one. And the Raptors made them pay. All the Raptors can do is go out and play the game, no matter who's in the court. It just so happened Giannis was not playing. If he was playing, would we have won? I don't know. But he wasn't playing, and we did win. And that is all that matters here for the Raptors, who are now 10-13 on the season. But the Raptors would not have won had it not been for this outrageously tremendous performance from Fred VanVleet. 29 points in this one with 5 rebounds and 4 assists. Very efficient shooting as well. 9 for 17 from the field and 5 for 10 from 3. Fred VanVleet is currently averaging the highest amount of minutes per game in the NBA because simply Nick Nurse cannot afford to have him on the bench. So what we are going to do in today's video, we're going to break down the game against the Bucks a little bit, talk about the event that transpired. Then we're going to talk about how Fred VanVleet has taken his game. What specific thing has he done to take his game to the next level? And then to finish off, we're going to analyze his very real possibility of making an NBA All-Star team. How real of a chance is it? So the game in question, Nick Nurse, again, just can't take Fred VanVleet off the floor because when he did, the Raptors were up by a healthy margin, and the Bucks all of a sudden shrunk that 11-point lead down to 75-73, and we were kind of rolling our eyes. Well, here we go again. Then, as soon as Fred VanVleet steps back on the floor, he comes in and on the ensuing inbound hits a corner 3. The next play, he hits a layup, and then the ensuing defensive play gets a stop, takes it in transition, and finds an assist to Pascal Siakam. That is the Fred VanVleet effect this season. He has been tremendous on offense and tremendous on defense. The Raptors did what they needed to do. Not a lot of help from the bench here, but the defense has been much better recently in the last couple of games. Fred VanVleet with a 29. Pascal Siakam gets 20 points on 50% shooting from the field. Scotty Barnes continues to rain terror from 3. Another game where he shot 3 for 6 from three-point land, but not a lot of help in the other places. However, Fred VanVleet, Siakam, they do their thing that allow the Raptors to win. But in particular, it was the Fred VanVleet performance. He has taken his game to the next level this season. He is now averaging over 20 points per game on about 45% shooting from the field and about 39% shooting from 3. Those are great numbers. They remind me of Kyle Lowry and the way he played when he was in his best years with the Toronto Raptors. Absolutely his best years with the Raptors. Fred VanVleet has really seized this opportunity to be the team's point guard after Lowry left. I have been critical of Fred VanVleet in the past, talked about how, number one, he's not really a point guard. He's a shooting guard trapped in a point guard's body who has no choice because of his size to play in the point guard position. I've also talked about how he doesn't really come alive in the fourth quarter and take our game, the Raptors game, to the next level to really will us to a victory. And my goodness, has he proven me wrong this season. Those shooting numbers are extremely impressive, especially considering the fact that last season, Fred VanVleet shot under 40% from the field and was one of the worst, like bottom 3, bottom 2, in terms of finishing in the paint and finishing at the rim. So there were many corrections that needed to be made regarding Fred VanVleet's game coming into this season, and he has absolutely made those adjustments. The current NBA is trending towards shooting threes and shooting layups. You really don't want to take some shots in the mid-range. And I'm in favor of this. I'm in big favor of this as an analytics guru, an analytics snob more likely. But analytics do dictate that teams who shoot more threes and less mid-range shots are more successful in the long run. So that is where I see this trend, and that is why I support this trend. But for players like Fred VanVleet, you can't really get to the rim because you're simply not big enough. So how can Fred VanVleet shape up his game to go to the next level? In the offseason, I said that the thing that will take him to the next level is adding in a floater game, which would make centers play a little more up on him in mid-range, which would allow him to get to the rim a little bit easier. But what he is doing, he is shooting the mid-range shot. And the mid-range shot works when you shoot it as well as Fred VanVleet does, because Fred VanVleet is shooting 55% from mid-range this season. That is making interior defenders play a little more up on him. If they don't, he's going to hit that shot more often than not. And if they do play up on him, it allows Fred VanVleet to get on the inside. He has taken a lot less of those ill-advised shooting opportunities at the rim with much bigger defenders. He is getting blocked under the rim way less. And as a result, it is opening up every other part of his game because he can hit those threes. He's improved his three-point game, but also as he's making the defenders guess a lot more on the inside, he's able to do more things to get the ball into the basket. That is why we've seen a slight jump in his points, but a very noticeable jump in his field goal percentages. NBA players, you don't want to be too heavily reliant on one specific move, because if you are, opposition defenders will start to figure out. That's when you need to tank your game. This is where the best players really unlock themselves. The players who have the ability to find other parts of the offense where they can hurt the opposition. Fred VanVleet has added in that excellent mid-range shot, which has made it easier for him to do everything else on the court. It's not good to just be average at everything, but once you've mastered certain things, like mastering the three-point shot, which Fred VanVleet clearly has, once you've got that down, you can now work on other different parts, like, let's say, the mid-range shot. And it's also worth mentioning that Fred VanVleet as a point guard has developed tremendously. I know his assist numbers don't quite reflect it. I would say if there were better shooters and better finishers on this team, then we would notice it a lot more as it comes to Fred VanVleet. However, I have been a huge fan of what he has done from a playmaking standpoint as well this season. The way he can run the offense is very Kyle Lowry reminiscent. It's like he is the floor general, and the team can fall apart when he isn't on the floor. And also, going along with the great offensive game, the great playmaking game, he also displays tremendous ability to play defense. He is one of the best defenders on the Raptors and one of the best defenders in the entire NBA. That should not be a hot take. Every season, he's always one of the league leaders in steals per game and deflections per game, sometimes actually leading the league in one of those categories. He's a great on-ball defender, but his off-ball defending, I think, is even more impressive because the rotations, they aren't always noticeable when you're watching the game in real time. You're not quite focusing on what's going on off the ball. But Fred VanVleet seldom misses a rotation to go close out on the perimeter, and he's an excellent interior and help defender. He doesn't allow the shot to come up. He's not always the best at blocking shots because, well, he's 6 feet tall. He's like shorter than me. However, he doesn't allow the shot to happen because he's in those positions and doesn't let that specific shot happen. And even when he does, he's there, he's disrupting, doing his thing, and he's actually a very good post defender statistically. All of these things together show how Fred VanVleet has taken his game to the next level and also showcases how Fred VanVleet is legitimately in a conversation to be an all-star in the Eastern Conference this season. Fred VanVleet has been great point-wise, and his effect on the game has been great. The problem right now, I think Fred VanVleet has done everything he has needed to do to make an all-star team, especially when you look at an Eastern Conference that now no longer has Ben Simmons vying for a guard position and no longer has Kyrie Irving vying for one of those guard positions in the Eastern Conference. That's 2 spots from last year that have become really available, a lot more available as a result of them not being there. I think that Kyle Lowry had a chance at being there. He's been a little bit too injured, so I'm not sure if he'll get there. So there are spots open on this Eastern Conference All-Star team for Fred VanVleet to get in. However, NBA executives, NBA media personnel put this huge factor into winning basketball games. The Raptors right now aren't winning as many as they are losing. But the argument shouldn't be necessarily how other players are factoring Fred VanVleet's candidacy to make the All-Star team. Fred VanVleet is almost willing himself into that position because the Raptors, we've struggled to have these closers in recent seasons, especially last season. Fred VanVleet is becoming that closer along with Gary Trent Jr. When we need a big bucket, Fred VanVleet is usually one of the guys to get it. When the game becomes tough and we can't find an answer to a cold stretch or a hot stretch from the other team, Fred VanVleet typically becomes the answer for this team. And the reason he's averaging the highest amount of minutes per game in the NBA at 38.3 minutes per game this season, because every time Fred VanVleet steps off the court, this team almost seemingly falls apart without him there. He is so vital to what the Raptors want to accomplish, and it is incredible the jump he has taken this season, the reins he has taken off of Kyle Lowry. He has seamlessly fit into that Kyle Lowry role that was so important to this team. I can't believe how much better he has gotten as a result of adding all these extra tools to his game. The mid-range shot has been better, which allows him to get to the rim a lot better. He's shooting almost 60% at the rim. Last season, he was shooting in the low 40s at the rim, which was like bottom 2 in the NBA. It truly is remarkable the steps he has taken to become a better player, especially after going undrafted. Fred VanVleet at this point is, I think, a top 3, arguably top 2 undrafted player of all time. Ben Wallace, best undrafted player of all time. That guy's in the Hall of Fame. Can't really argue against that. You've got other guys like John Starks. You've got other guys like Connie Hawkins. But I mean, as far as NBA players go, Fred VanVleet might be the second best undrafted player of all time. And at only 27 years old, he's only going to further strengthen that case by continuing to play like this, especially if he adds on the All-Star accolade to the already NBA champion he possesses, not to mention getting a Finals MVP vote in that NBA Finals series. Overall, Fred VanVleet, no matter how bad the Raptors have been on some occasions, he is the shining light in a lot of these games that makes it watchable, along with guys like Scotty Barnes and, to me, Pascal Siakam. And for that, I'm very grateful. I really hope that we can utilize the prime years of Fred VanVleet to put a solid team around him and see how far we can truly go. What have you guys made of Fred VanVleet's performances this season? Do you agree with me? Should he be an all-star or not? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Please, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like to support the channel and subscribe for the 4+ Raptors videos we put out every single week. Check out the links beside me right now. You can subscribe to the channel with an easy button right over here. And if you want to watch more videos, check out yesterday's video. We talked about how the Raptors are possibly entering tank mode. Some more insight for Raptors fans like yourself. We'll see you again next time for another video.